In this episode, you'll discover why slowing down makes you faster in the future.
Feel the grip of the oar handle, smooth yet firm in your hands. Taste the salt of your own sweat and the occasional splash of water. It's all part of the journey. Welcome to another episode of Faster Masters Rowing Radio. Each week, our host, Masters Rowing Coach Rebecca Caro, dives deep into the world of Masters Rowing. Whether you're on the water or in the gym, join us to become a faster master. Let's go rowing.
Hello, everybody. It's good to be back. And today we're talking about rowing in circles. Now, this came about because we got a question from Kim Mulvey, who said, I heard you mention rowing in circles for practice. Can you tell me more about this? I know I could make a lot of progress if I could just practice my stroke on water over and over again. Kim, you're absolutely right. The whole purpose about rowing in circles is to get that intense, focused practice in a stable environment. So what's it all about? Well, rowing in circles is generally about having one person row at a time in a sweep boat, so that there is just one person and everything that happens is a result of what they do. In a sculling boat, you row one side at a time, port or starboard, bow side or stroke side. It's often done in small boats, singles or pairs. The simple reason for that is, again, that there is 100% of effect based on what you're doing, and it's not being muffled by anyone else's rowing, although there's absolutely no reason why you can't do it in bigger boats. Generally speaking, the learning effect is about you seeing what happens when you row, rather than you rowing and then finding that someone else is sort of amplifying or distorting the impact. That sounds a little complicated. So yes, practicing your stroke on water over and over is what this is all about. What's it good for? So the first type of things that rowing in circles is good for is level blade work. Are your oars going into the water and staying at the correct depth through the power phase? Are they coming out of the water and staying at the correct height above the water on the recovery phase? So if you are a person who knows that you row over the barrel, as they say, so your handle goes into the water and then it rises through the power phase and then lowers as you come to the extraction, rather than staying in a reasonably horizontal line, this is a great thing to practice. The second group of things that rowing in circles is good for is your catch placement. How do you time lifting your handle so that the oar spoon goes into the water when your seat is just coming up to full slide, full compression? So your seat stops instantaneously when you change direction at the catch. And obviously at that point, you want the oar to already be under the water. So you need to time lifting the handle before your seat stops. The third thing that you can work on is your recovery height of the blade above the water. So if you're rowing sweep, learning the different jobs of your inside and outside hand. Generally, your outside hand controls the height of the oar handle. Your inside hand does the squaring and the feathering. So making sure that the correct hand is doing the correct job. You can, for example, in sweep, when you're rowing circles, just have one hand on the oar. So you could row with square blades just using your outside hand, or you could go to wide grip, which is sometimes called inside hand down the loom, so that your inside hand is squaring and feathering, but it doesn't have much leverage because it's closer to the pin, which is the point of rotation. And so it's much harder for that hand to be effective in putting force on the oar. The last thing that I think square blades is really good at is learning how to row square blades. So rowing in circles, square blades, helps you to see exactly what you need to be able to do in order to put the oar in the water, and particularly at the finish. A lot of people find square blades very challenging to get the oar out of the water successfully. And again, you can do this at firm pressure. Increasing the pressure or the rating are ways to test our skills. So you learn the basic skill, you watch your blade carefully rowing in circles, then you try not watching your blade so that you see if you can still make the same movement when your eyes are not actually on it. And then you make it increasingly hard for yourself and see if you can keep the same technique. Increasing the pressure is one way to make it harder. It is more challenging. The boat is moving faster, therefore getting the oar in and out of the water. The timing of those movements needs to be adapted to reflect the boat speed. And of course, it's not just firm pressure. You can also increase the stroke rating, which again makes it harder again. Remember that when you are learning something, there's a ladder of learning. So you start with the basics and then you step up the ladder. If you get to a point where you find your skill is falling apart and it's not being successful, step down a step down 2 steps, re-establish the pattern of technique that you want before you then step up again and make it harder again. I often find in a single practice, it's worth doing something 3 times with a break in between, whether that break is just sitting still and waiting, or if you're in a crew boat, let someone else have a go rowing circles. That gives you both a mental and a physical break while they're having a go, or row whole crew and, just do some paddling, try and put into practice what you could see in the rowing in circles, and then come back to doing it a second time, and ideally a third time. And that third time makes a load of difference. I will also say that a lot of people learn in an interesting way, that your brain processes things when you're not actually doing the activity. So you might finish your rowing practice today, come back for your next workout, and find that you have improved, even though you thought that your skills were terrible at the end of the prior practice, that actually that break in time and your brain processing in the background. What was I learning? What was the movement pattern? What did it sound like? What did it feel like? That then means that when you come to your next practice, actually, you've made an improvement, apparently without doing anything. But it is really just brain science. How does my brain acquire knowledge and expertise and fine motor skills? And it then brings it back to your next practice and is ready to do the same thing again, but with greater skill. Now take a look at this video, which Marlene Royal, my partner and founder in Faster Masters Rowing, is shown coaching a single sculler on their level blade work drills.
This is a really simple blade depth drill of just rowing in place with one oar. So keep one oar flat on the oar and flat on the water and the handle near your body, and then just row. We're just going to row with the port oar and row ourselves around in a circle. But what we're looking at is that we want to keep the top edge of the blade level with the surface of the water. So it's okay to look at your oar as you do this, and then just row arms only and just row yourself around in a circle. You can watch, placing the blade in, and then the goal is to sort of see where the blade wants to settle and keep the top edge of the blade level with the top surface of the water.
Backing circles in place.
We're going to do this drill with the backing motion. So again, we're just going to use the port oar and demonstrate just backing with one oar. And this is an excellent blade work drill because, again, you're able to feel the pressure on the back of the blade. You can look at the blade and see what it's doing. And just the goal is to keep it nice and horizontal and just get a sense of where that shaft is just above the water. Perfect. Excellent.
So, good example of some of the things that you can do and what it looks like when you're rowing in circles. Go have some fun, try it for yourself, and let us know how you go. Till next time, bye-bye.
We are part of the RowingChat podcast network. Please tell your fellow rowers about the show. If you've learned just one helpful thing from today's episode, please consider supporting the show for as little as $1 per month by visiting fastermastersrowing.com/podcast.